We're about to get started. All right. Can you see me? Can you see me? All right. Hello. Good night. Here we go. All right. Hello. Good night, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Good night. Good night. Good night. Hey, beautiful. Hey, Tiffany. Hey, hey, hey. And so if you're wondering, you're coming in, welcome, welcome, welcome back, welcome and good night. Oh boy, I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Welcome and good night, everyone. Welcome to our Fireside Book Chat. Welcome to Treasure 25 Live. For those of you guys who are now joining us, this is week 2. Hey, Nicholas. Thank you guys for joining us. We are so welcome to Treasure 25 Live, where we come together for 25 minutes, where we nourish our bodies, souls, and our spirits. My name is Nadia, your treasured midwife, and I am here to help you take better care of yourself. And when I mean care, it is not just a external part, but it's also an internal part where we are very intentional about the decisions that we make when it comes to our bodies, our souls, and our spirits. Most of us get caught up in the body and the spirit, and we don't really understand or even take time to really talk about the soul. And the soul is made up of 3 parts, right? Our mind, our will, and our emotion. And we focus so much on the mind that we don't take a moment to even stop and think about our will and our emotion and how those things can drive us. And so welcome. Today is Tuesday, and we have our Fireside Book Chat on Tuesday nights at 9:30 p.m. And so with this 25 Treasure 25 Live, we meet for 6 days a week, different times. Monday, we have Breathe With Me, where we do breath prayers at 6 a.m. Tuesdays, we meet at 9:30, where we just have some real talk, right? Real talk surrounding different books that spark my interest. And we're starting off with my first book, Position to Birth More, which I wrote 5 years ago. I still am just like, what? I'm an author? But yes, I am. And then we have Wednesdays, Wellness in the Word is at 10. We have Pushing 25. That's on Thursdays at 10. And then we have Beauty in the Bible, which is at 9 a.m. on Friday, where we talk about the Treasure Beauty products, the inspiration behind them, and what God is saying through them. And then we have Treasure Check-in on Saturdays at 9 a.m. And so if you join us live for any one of them, yay. If you join us for the replay, yay. And if you just join us for all of them, thank you so much for your support. And if you just join us for one or two, that I'm grateful as well. I am truly just trying to be obedient to the Lord in this season. And if you know me, going live is not my thing, but I am trying to be obedient, right? And so let's jump in to, I gave everybody a little spiel, what's happening, what's going on. So yes, I am on vacation. Hence, my background is different. We don't have any fireplace happening. But go with me if you will, right? The fireplace is crackling in the behind. Don't worry. I tried to have a fireplace. I tried, y'all. I tried. It just wasn't working, right? And we have our tea. I have water tonight. right? Water. And cuddle up with your book, get your journals, and let's just have a conversation. Let's just dive deep into this. So, again, welcome back. You have made it to week 2 of our Fireside Book Chat, right? Part of the Treasured 25 live experience. And again, my name is Nadia, your Treasured Midwife. And tonight we are diving into a deep personal chapter of the book Position to Birth More. If you don't have this book, it's all right. You can go ahead and order it on my site, the Treasured Empire, or you can order it on Amazon. Either way, or you could just join in with us. Either way, we're going to get deep tonight, right? We're going to go in just for 25 minutes, right? 25 minutes, that's all. So if you can, go ahead and share it out right now with somebody that you know that could benefit from this. We are on YouTube. Whoop, whoop. I'm trying something, y'all. We are on Facebook and we are on Instagram, right? I don't know how clear I am, if you can hear me, if you can't, but we are going. Hey, Toe, right? Hey, Dorothea. All right. And so we are just going to keep pressing and moving and doing what we're supposed to be doing. And so today I hope you guys got a chance to dig deep. Again, some of you have this book. You read it a couple of times. I've read it multiple times. But God has really brought this book back to me in this season. And so we are focusing on chapter 1, See and Say. So go ahead, get your tea, light your candle, grab the journal, settle in, get your little blanket. I love y'all because I just left dinner to come be with y'all as I am on my vacation. But the Lord told me to do it. And so hence why I'm here, but also because I love y'all. All right. And so we're going back to the very beginning. Right? How did all of this begin? The conception phase, right? Where vision is either planted or positioned, right? How many of us know that our vision is what can hinder us, what can push us, right? What can just, have us keep going or have us stop, right? Our vision is what does that. And so this chapter 1, is all about how we see ourselves and how that vision is formed from an early age. One of the things for me, the conception stage, first of all, when you think about birthing, right, there is something called the conception stage, and that is the developmental stage. And to be honest, most of us like to skip that stage, right? So if you've ever had a child, you know what this feels like. And if you haven't, it's so funny. God is so amazing that even if we haven't actually birthed a child, that there's still birthing that happens in all of us, right? Both men and women alike, right? And so the conception phase is the developmental stage. It is where you begin to form your self-image, right? An identity based on what you've seen, what you've heard, and what you've experienced. So we've all, whether you had a child or not, you have all been in this phase, right? This conception phase. This is where we start to understand, who we are. And that is really by what we've seen, what we've heard, and what we've experienced. And so for me, when I was 13, and I talk about it in the book, I got punched in the face, right? Straight punched. There was no warning. I got punched straight in the face, right? And it wasn't just about a physical punch, but I was punched emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, right? I was called a name that really crushed my spirit. And that moment distorted my vision, right? It really, I'm a visual person, y'all. So picture, if you would, right, being punched in the face and now you can't even see, right? You seeing blurry. And I think, because it didn't just bruise my face, but it bruised how I saw myself. It really distorted how I saw myself, right? I began to rebel. I began to listen to what other people said, who they said I was. And honestly, I began to shrink, to hide my light so that others could feel comfortable in the dark, right? And so that experience, right, that happened to me, I want you to take a moment and think about what experiences happened to you that may have distorted your vision, right? Or maybe highlighted your vision, right? It doesn't always have to be on one side of the spectrum. It could be on the other side, right? Did you have something that happened to you that really allowed you to see who you are, right? And just understand that distorted vision doesn't just make you see yourself wrong. It makes you say the wrong things about who you are, right? So, what are some things that maybe were said to you, or, things that you overheard that made you feel like, wait a second, maybe it just started to make you start looking at yourself. I was also very skinny as a child. I mean, I'm grateful now, right? I don't look my age, right? Right? But I remember being called a Q-tip, right? I was being called, or olive oil. If y'all remember, y'all know my age if I'm talking about olive oil, right? From what was it? Popeye's wife, right? She was really skinny and she had like a little round head, right? Those were the things that I was called. And so growing up for a part of my life, I really didn't like who I was. I didn't like what I looked like. And therefore it impacted how I showed up, right? And so in the book, I share stories about the fights. Hey, Tafina, the betrayals, the setups, right? From girls who didn't like me because they said they always had something to say. Nothing I did was ever right, right? And so I tried to change who I was to be liked. And that was a wrong choice. So let's go back, right? Wrong choice number one was allowing what happened to me to distort my vision. Wrong choice number two was, allowing people to start to dictate on who I should be. But what I didn't realize was through it all, God was there, even when I didn't realize it. And I talk about it in the book. Like Joseph, I had dreams as a teenager, big dreams, scary dreams, right? I would write in my journal dream. You ever had a dream that scared you about who you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to be, that you don't even have the words to explain it to someone if you could, but you just see yourself doing so much more than where you're at right now? Right, Dorothy, you relate? Yeah, you relate all the time, right? And even though you want to, first of all, can we talk about the fact that they lied when they said that song "Sticks and Stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me"? That's a whole lie. It's a whole lie, because words stick with you. I'd rather you beat me with a stick and I heal than actually, the words that you say to me sticks with me if I don't know who I am, right? And so, these are things so I'm going back to the dreams like that I would have. And it would be so scary because the reality that I was living wasn't the dream that I was dreaming, right? Imagine seeing yourself being so much more. And when you open your eyes and you're like, here I am sharing a bed, sharing a room. I'm not living in this palace that in my mind I see so much. And it's so funny because, like I said, God was there even when I didn't realize it. And even when my reality didn't match my dreams, he was planting visions. So even though my vision was being distorted by the things that was happening around me, God was still planting some things, right? And he was also protecting it. And so tonight, I really want us to think about what distorted visions have you been carrying that no longer serve you. Y'all know I'm gonna be real. Y'all know how I do, right? So if you've ever been to my salon, if you've ever sat in my green chair, I'm gonna come straight, right? So this ain't no 25 minutes of fluff. This is 25 minutes of straight. Like, I want you to think about it, right? Jesus, right? Jesus. Yes, Dorothea, right? Big lie, right? Being told that I was adopted when I really wasn't, but it rooted abandonment in my mind. I'm so glad that you could connect that, right? And so you can see now. Thank you so much for your transparency. Thank you so much for trusting this space as a safe space. And we just cover you even now, and everybody on this live who will catch the replay, who will, that we don't just watch this live just to watch it, but we watch these lives to actually have transformation happen in our hearts, right? And so I want us to ask ourselves, what distorted visions have we been carrying that no longer serves us? right? What past experience alter how we see ourselves, and how can we release that tonight, right? We have to decide, we have to make a decision that God is telling us that there's so much more for ourselves. You know that. You feel it, you know it. But those distorted visions can blind you, right? To the point where you're not moving. You could stay stuck, stagnant, right? Procrastinate. My pastor talked recently about going around a mountain over and over again. Like, we're not doing that no more, right? But for us to actually push past the mountain, we have to actually admit it. And so when you come into any treasured room, we're gonna get to the real. Right? We can talk about it. There's some things like we didn't grow up in at least I didn't, right? Listen, I thought I was adopted. Ain't nobody tell me I was adopted, Dorothea. I thought I was adopted. You couldn't. I was not adopted. I used to go search my mother's drawers looking for my adoption papers because I just knew I was not like everybody around me. Now in hindsight, I get it. I was totally different. God was doing something that I couldn't explain. And so for me, it was adoption. I probably picked up that spirit on my own. You know what I mean? And so I want us to think about that. What are some things that has really blurred out? Go back for a moment, right? Go back to when you were a child. What were some things that were said over you, right? What were some things that were told to you about who you are, about, your family, about your parents? I was always told, oh, you're a rebel just like your father, right? Think about that. Hey, Lana, right? Is that, I don't, right? Think about the things that you were told. How has it, now that you are a grown woman or man, how has that impacted you? Because we can't go forward if we don't stop to sit down and reflect, right? And y'all know I'm big on, you can't have revelation if you don't actually sit down and reflect so that God can actually give you true revelation, right? We don't want to sit up here and lie to ourselves on what's happening. And so I want us to remember today, and you can repeat after me, and you could say, I am not what I went through. These are some fireside affirmations. I am not what they called me. I am who God says I am. And I see myself through the lens of heaven. Growing up, I was always told that if you talk to yourself, you're crazy. The truth is, if you answer yourself back, you're crazy. But we need to talk to ourselves because that's how we change our mindset. That's how we change. So I have to remind myself, and I want you, that's how I'm not what I went through. Most of us are carrying trauma that we've gone through, right? The different things and we could sit and go and we could trade story for story, but tonight ain't about that, right? Tonight is about seeing and saying. What did you see? And what are you going to say now? What are you going to say to yourself now so that you could break off? Most of us, we've been called to break through for our generation. But we can't do that if we're not willing to actually see what we went through and say something different. All right? And so y'all know I love to breathe. And tonight I'm being called to just take a moment and just pause for a moment. Yeah. Dorothea, that's so good. Right? We don't even realize that it's the light. It's God's light in us that it actually attracts and it separates. But we don't know that because we're not taught. So even now with my children and I see different things in them, I'm like, oh, instead of calling you this, I'm going to say you're a leader, right? I was called bossy. I was always a leader. I just didn't even know it. That's just my nature. That's who God called me to be, right? And so we're going to just pause for a moment. And I just wanted to take a moment, sip your tea, sip your water, whatever it is that you have to sip as you sit here, and just think about that for a moment. And we're going to take a moment to just breathe, and we're going to inhale, right, with our noses. And we're going to smell the roses. And when we do that, I want you to say, God, help me to see, right? As you inhale. And when we exhale, we're going to blow the soup with our mouth. And we're going to repeat the words, what you see in me. All right. So we want you to sit still. Just stop for one minute. 60 seconds. I promise you this won't be long. And I want you to breathe. Because some of us are going and we're going through life just going and not taking a moment to breathe through it with God, which is a weapon. And we talked about that yesterday. Go back and watch the replay, right? And so we're going to take a moment. We're going to inhale, close your eyes. You're going to inhale through your nose like you're smelling the roses. God, help me see. And you're going to exhale and blow the soup. What you see in me. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, smell the roses. God, help me to see. And we're going to exhale, blow the soup. What you see in me. Keeping in mind, and you can say that as much times as you need to, especially as you are moving. Remember, we talked about rhythm, right? As we are moving with God through our lives, right? Even when we can't see it, we got to speak it, right? And I'm not asking us to fake it till we make it, but I'm asking us to change the lens that we have on and ask God to give us the lens that He has, right? God, help me to see what you see in me. And you can sit still, you can sip, you can breathe, and you can be. We need to get to a point where we're learning to allow our bodies to settle, to let our spirits actually receive. We so moving that sometimes like we just miss it. Like no, receive that. Right? Let our minds remember that, guess what? I am His vision made in flesh, right? God created all of us in our mother's womb before we even knew. So we sitting up here trying to do and be and do all of the things. And it's just like, hold on, right? Let me remind myself. I am His manifestation. You are His manifestation, right? You are His vision made in flesh. And that's it all by itself, right? That's it all by itself. And so we don't got to do too much. We don't got to be too much. We just got to ask, like, see and say. See what we have to see, but say what God sees, right? Say what God is saying about us. What does He see about us? Ask God to give you a download of who He sees you to be. I remember, listen, if I give y'all some stories about me, I was a hot mess, right? And I remember my pastor looking at me, and this is before Rihanna even came out. I had the left side of my head shaved off. My hair was red like McDonald red, and I was just cussing. I was out here in these streets. I told you I came from the streets. The way she would treat me and talk to me, and I would be like, "This lady don't know I'm crazy." And I would ask her, like, "What do you see?" And she says, "I see you the way God sees you." And she would start to say who I will become, who I am now. And I'm like, and this is over 10 years ago, y'all. And I'm like, I don't know what you see. Because I see a crazy girl, listen, from Barbados and Brooklyn, all in one. Okay? A whole spitfire. Like, listen, men would tell you, my husband would tell you, when he started dating me, they told him, yo, you dating Nadia, she fight men. Right? That was me. I fought men. Lord, help me. Right? But even him saw me the way God saw me. And I had to keep going over it to start to see myself the way God saw me. And so that's what I want us to do tonight, right? I see the things, yes, acknowledge them, but we don't got to be the things. We can say who God says we are, right? We are daughters and sons of the Most High God. Right? We come from the church of the firstborn. I don't care what denomination or all the things, but listen, if we come from the kingdom, period. So it doesn't even matter on position or title or all of the things that we can get so caught up in. There's so much more. And so, like I said, I'm only going to be with y'all for 25 minutes. And I hope these 25 minutes allow us to just change our mindset. So pray with me for a moment. Father God, help us to see ourselves the way you see us, whole, worthy, and chosen. Heal our visions, O Lord. Break the lies that were spoken over us. Restore the creator in us and wake up the dreamer. Let us say what you say about us. Help us to stop shrinking and start shining. Align our life with your vision, oh God, not everyone else's. May this be our new beginning where we see ourselves the way you see us. In Jesus' name, amen. And so this week, the takeaway is simple. Your yes begins with the way you see and what you say. If your vision was shaped by your pain, trauma, or people who didn't even know your purpose, it's time to take it back. We don't have to walk around carrying trauma. Jesus said, cast it, right? Exchange my burden. His burden is light. We don't have to sit up here and walk around with all of these things because we are not what we went through. We are what we are called to birth, though. So allow yourself to see yourself the way God sees you. This week at least, right? At least let's start right now that we're going to see and say something different. And so thank you so much for being here for Treasure 25 Live. This is our Fireside Book Chat. We are, just taking and dissecting Position to Birth More, written by More. And so again, if you need to purchase it, you could go on Amazon. You could reach out to me. You could come pick it up if you are in the Brooklyn area, or you can order it off the website, thetreasuredempire.com. But it's just a book. It's not a telltale story and a soap opera. It's just a book where I just go into detail on how God was shaping me, right? Because some of us get so caught up in the war, in the fight, that we don't even realize that God is cultivating something out of each and every one of us. He's calling us to become something that we've never seen before, because he's doing something different, y'all. I don't care what we see. All right. So thank you so much for being here. Catch me tomorrow for Wellness in the Word, but I'm actually going to do a DIY activity on this here ship with y'all, right? 25 minutes, like I said, 10 a.m. If not, catch the replay. Catch us on all the platforms, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And I'll see y'all later. Bye.